Red wiggler worms are simple creatures requiring little care. So what could go wrong? Hi, I'm Susan Muckey and this is Carol Dove. We are UC Master Gardeners of Sacramento County. In this video, we will show you how correct levels of moisture, food, and temperature are key factors to keep worms happy, healthy, and productive in your worm composting bin. So, how do you know if you have a problem? Let's check to see if we have a problem and talk about solutions. You may see ants, fruit flies, white mites, or soldier fly larvae. The bin may have a bad odor or dead or escaping worms. First, let's talk about moisture. Moisture is important because if it's too wet, the worms may escape or drown. And if it's too dry, they could die. You can test the bedding, minus the worms, with a firm squeeze. It should feel like a run-out sponge. If it's too wet, it drips when squeezed. If it's too dry, it fluffs. If bedding is too dry, ants may invade the worm bin. Restore the moisture level and they should disappear. If it's too wet, add bedding and reduce food. Another source of moisture is food. Melons, tomatoes, cucumbers, and pears are mostly water, so be aware of how much juicy food you add. Overfeeding can be a cause of other problems in your worm bin. Too much food can cause odors. Or worse, your worm bin can become a hot compost pile, reaching temperatures that will cook your worms. Too much food can also attract fruit flies. Place food in the four corners of the bin. After a few days, check to see if the food is still there. If so, wait a few more days before adding food. If overfeeding is causing the problem, fix by adding more bedding and feed less often. While soldier fly larvae are beneficial insects, they're a problem if you see more than a few in your bin. Large numbers will compete with your worms for food. Fix this by not overfeeding and the larvae will disappear. The third factor that often causes worm bin problems is temperature. Red wigglers are very sensitive to temperature and just like us prefer between 60 and 80 degrees indoors or out. In the summer months, your worms should be happy outdoors in the shade. Be sure to keep the bedding moist so your worms don't dehydrate. To keep them cool, place a piece of black plastic over the bedding for darkness and moisture retention. Add a towel on top of the plastic to help insulate them from the heat. When temperatures go down, the worms become less productive, eat less, and mass together to keep warm. If your worms live outdoors in the winter, covering them with black plastic and a towel will help insulate them from the cold. If your worms live indoors in the winter, check the bedding often, especially if the bin is in a room with a heater or wood stove. The high temperature and low humidity will cause the bedding to dry out quickly. To fix the problem, add more water. Controlling the basic environment in your worm bin will keep your red wigglers happy, healthy, and productive. Check your bin every few days to make sure moisture levels, food quantities, and temperatures are just right. Your worms will reward you with fantastic compost.
Thanks for joining us, Sacramento County Master Gardeners YouTube channel.